what's crazy to me is of all that, to me, the easiest thing to get right is the part they've gotten wrong, which is the technology. What is up, everybody? How you living? No buts given. It's PGA show week. So by the time you see this, we're at the PGA show. Who knows? We're going to have all sorts of fun stuff we find there. I have no doubt. If I sound a little raspy, it's because I'm trying something new this year, Tony. Usually, everybody and their mom gets sick the week you come back from the PGA show. So I'm trying to get like a little scratchy throat cold thing going before I go.
I was at the chiropractor this morning and laying face down. I was like,
it's a new thing. If I get this before I go, no chance I get sick on the back end. It's my new approach.
Food poisoning, you still gotta, that's rolling the dice every time.
It's always rolling the dice.
That would be like my PGA show guide. Maybe the totality of it would just be don't eat anything at the convention center.
Don't breathe.
Don't even look at the chicken.
Don't even look at the chicken. Don't even look at the chicken. Yeah, no doubt. Well, yeah, we'll see what we see there. We'll have some recap stuff. It'll be interesting. Looks cold and rainy, so perfect Orlando weather. PGA Tour's back, so to the degree that matters to people as you're watching little things here and there. I know NFL playoffs are all the rage. I'm in on all that, but Sepp Straka, he won. Kind of an understated guy, not a big, huge personality. But here's my question for you, Tony. Looking at his what's in the bag, he has new Strixon irons in. So nice start for a new ZXI series. So good on you, Strixon. He has Cleveland wedges, fantastic. Odyssey putter.
I sense a butt coming.
Odyssey putter, but Callaway metalwoods, including last year's AI Smoke Triple Diamond. Paradigm AI Smoke Triple Diamond long. So who should get more credit to the degree that equipment manufacturers like to say?
I think Sepp should get the credit.
No, I can't give the player the credit. The brands claim these wins and victories. I should also say Strixon switched to a XV ball. I think he played a Z-Star Diamond before. So who gets more credit? The Callaway Odyssey Cleveland crew?
He's got more Strixons in the bag. More Strixon, Cleveland, Dunlop, etc. equipment in the bag. So we'll give them the bulk of the credit. Okay. Do you think it kind of illustrates we talked about the Strixon metalwoods, the new stuff last week? I think it kind of illustrates their struggles, if you will, the battle they're facing to elevate tour credibility in the metalwood parts of the bag.
Yeah, because
finding the irons.
For sure. Irons are great. And I'm going to lean, if we do it by that, yep, makes sense. Here's another one I thought it could be interesting. But, I mean, you look like strokes gained tee to green. He did really, really well. In fact, strokes gained driving led the field. So you could argue that his driver was the most important. Again, it has to all come together. I get that. But I think the first kind of domino to fall is like flagship Strixon Cleveland staffers. Take your Hideki, right? You have, Shane Lowry, people that are probably on that 13 club deal and ball to a degree. So you get some credibility there, but the next big step, because if your own staffers don't play your metalwoods, that says something for sure. We know Mizuno had that issue as they went through and then re-upped and have gotten more metalwoods in play because they were able to navigate that. That to me is the next step, is people that are playing Strixon irons, Cleveland wedges, they still go TaylorMade, they still go Callaway, they still go Ping or Titleist in the metalwoods.
And if I go out and I lead the field in driving,
I'm not changing.
Why am I making a change?
Right.
Can't do better.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. So interesting, kind of food for thought on that one. Have you watched TGL, Tony? I'm talking Tuesday night. My wife calls it. Are they doing that indoor golf thing?
My wife, the first episode was like, "What is this? What are we watching? This is weird."
they weren't sure if it was some game show that was on or what was that putt show, the indoor
Holy moly.
Holy moly. Like, yeah.
That's what I said. Like, it's better than holy moly. It's better than shop makers. And I think everybody would still be way happier if Big Break came back with some kind of tour time.
Yeah. So what's your take on TGL so far? Love it? Hate it?
You know, I caught a snippet on the Twitterverse of Peter Finch's podcast.
Okay.
He was talking about TGL, and he summed it up exactly how I would.
Okay. What did he say?
And I quote, "It's fine." I mean, he said it in a much more British way. And so maybe it means something more elevated than I do, but it's fine. It's you know, I would liken it to a mediocre to slightly better than mediocre golf course, where it's like, that's fine. I'd play it again. It's not top of my list, but if the opportunity comes up, I'll go do it.
It's better than what else, whatever else.
Yeah, it's better than a bad. Yeah, it's better than a obviously bad product. But the other point that Peter made that I thought was interesting, and again, totally agree with. It's like, what is it? Like, what is this supposed to be? Right? Is this entertainment, or is it serious competition, or are you trying to walk the line in between? Is that,
and we don't know yet.
Competition, and look, I think if the answer to that is we want to be a serious competition, like, we want to show the sides of tour pros that are kind of fun and some of the back and forth banter, but at the same time, like, we want this to be competitive. We want this to be real. We want this to be a winter version of the PGA Tour on a smaller level, if you will, showcasing indoor golf, which is obviously growing. Like, then you've got to have serious equipment. Like, if you want a serious competition, you need serious equipment. And if you look at what they chose, like the full swing launch monitors, right?
That's the
big arrays of them, 3 on either side, redundancy so shots don't get missed. Cool. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like, this is an enterprise level. This is a professional level sporting event, and they're using prosumer equipment to power it all. Well, and this is absolutely baffling to me. I cannot wrap my head around it. And again, like, I understand why they did it. Look, this is Tiger's League. As much as, T is supposed to be tomorrow in the league, it's the Tiger Golf League. We all know that, right? So it makes sense that they would partner with or at least try and bring something in that Tiger has a cut of. But my God, I mean, we've tested. This is the launch monitor. It's been out for several years. We've tested it, and we took another look. We went back, checked out the data after. This all stems from that shot Tiger hit last week, going back probably 2 weeks by the time this
his first wedge shot.
Went way longer than it should have, and the commentators were like, "Oh, a lot of adrenaline flowing." Like, bullshit. It's not adrenaline. The damn launch monitor just screwed up the spin measurement badly, and we know this. We look at it; it can be off significantly from Foresight when we test, and Foresight. Not saying it's a perfect launch monitor, but spin is plus or minus 50 RPMs. That's the tolerance. And when we use it outdoors and side by side with TrackMan, it's really, really close. We know that is an accurate unit. And to have your golf league, your professional golf league, powered by a device that does not accurately capture spin rates, at least not reliably, and repeatedly, like what are you doing? So that tells me, you know what? That says this is entertainment. And if you're entertainment, then let's make it an hour show, because I feel like that's plenty. I think that's where you can go if it's fine.
It's funny.
I get people love it. People love it, but if it's fine, if that's your reaction to it, like, you got nothing else to do on a Tuesday, Wednesday night, whatever, you're like, hey, okay, I'll watch this. Everything else reruns this week. Cool. Yeah. But it's not serious, and I think if they want to be serious, they've got to take a serious look at the technology, and to an extent they've done that, right? They've taken these full swing kits, and from what we gather, partnered with Top Tracer, and it does look like Callaway has some stake in this, going back to week 1 where they asked Xander a question and it was all about his new Callaway Elite fairway wood. So you kind of like,
there's some
this is something that's a little smell a little something there. But so they're using the Top Tracer flight model on top of the full swings measuring, and that's good, right? Because every launch monitor has 2 pieces, right? Like, how well can I measure, And then how well do I calculate what I don't measure? And this is like, all right, we're going to use full swing to measure, and we're going to do the rest with Top Tracer because it probably almost certainly has a better ball flight algorithm at the back end. But, as we used to say in the IT world, right? Garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And so if those fundamental measurements aren't right, and we've already seen several instances on TV where anybody who knows anything looks at that and goes, that's not right. What comes out the other end, no matter how good that ball flight model is never going to work. So if this is a serious golf league, it needs to be using enterprise grade, not prosumer grade equipment. So I think the seriousness, the competitiveness of this league lives and dies by the technology that it leverages. And right now it's not up to standard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my quick assessment is they've done the hard part, which is that's having, Tiger and obviously Rory heading it, getting the right people that are compelling. The teams are compelling. You have, for all the stuff we're talking about, like where PGA Tour struggles with live stuff and it's like, hey man, we just want to see the best players together playing as much as possible. Well, they got that. They got compelling people. You got Tiger, you got Rory, you got Ricky Fowler, you got people.
Honestly, like it's almost the tournament you would want to watch every week if they were all out there together.
Yeah.
Like you would watch it over and over and over again.
That was the first reason I tuned in. I was like, because I don't care if those guys are, again, I get as boring as it watching really good players hit a ball into a screen effectively. But for me, that was enough to at least tune in. You have that. You have potentially a compelling format, although the first two weeks have been non-competitive. So haven't really been able to assess that. And what's crazy to me is of all that, to me, the easiest thing to get right is the part they've gotten wrong, which is the technology. Because, and the reason I say it should be the easiest to get right, there are better answers out there. We know that. It's out there. We've seen TrackMan with the next tour, right? People play for hundreds of thousands of dollars all winter long, putting their own money in the game. And we've seen other formats. Like I said, we know that there are enterprise grade, high quality options out there that could do this. And so the answers are already out there. They've just chosen to go with a lower grade product because, again, assumably looping in with Tiger, it's one of his, brands he endorses and blah, blah, blah. And so they've done that currently to their own detriment.
I mean, honestly, right? If you're going to say, yeah, we're going to go find a better ball flight model or whatever the tie-in is, right? You would be better off with a Rapsodo MLM2 Pro.
Yeah. Yes.
That's
under $1,000.
Yeah, we had this conversation. I was talking to Adam, and you try and be fair and assess the situation. But again, we've tested these launch monitors for years. We've got comparative metrics on everything, and I'm like, all right, go down the list. Like, where would you start? What would be if you were gonna do an indoor golf league,
mm-hmm.
and it was important that the data be accurate, and given that these are professional golfers, it sure as hell should be. Like, what would you choose? What would be your
and there aren't really budgetary issues here, so we're not like
right, yeah, and it's like, all right, go through the top 5. Is Full Swing on that list?
No.
Maybe they're camera-based systems. We don't have a lot of experience with the stuff that Tiger has in his house.
Right.
But a radar starting, like I would never start with a radar-based unit in that situation anyway.
Never be your first choice. No.
And yeah, so if you go down the top 5, like you don't land there. So it's not like it was close enough where we figured we could get away with it. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So Tiger hasn't flown a wedge 20 yards too far from 95 yards out in the last 3 decades. He didn't do it. So
yeah, it's funny, right? Like all the majors he's competed in and won, he managed to control the adrenaline, but as soon as he gets out and decides to hit a golf ball into a screen, all of a sudden, like he's
can't handle it.
Come on.
Can't handle it. Yeah.
Use your heads.
All right, let's talk some equipment stuff because there's some equipment stuff. Like I said, we're largely through a lot of the embargo things, but a couple tantalizing things out there. Talk to me about last week. We had a couple Vokey line extensions. Again, we're still on SM10, but you took a couple drool-worthy pictures. Maybe Nick can throw one of those up there. The oil can.
I think I put the wedge.
Do you already put it away?
Or maybe it never came upstairs. Yeah.
But what do we got? Just real quick.
Yeah. So the first one released was, kind of like whatever. Not super duper exciting. The low bounce K grind is now part of the retail lineup, and I'm not saying it doesn't have its purpose in the lineup. It kind of, sits a little more forgiving than the other low bounce options, I guess is how I would say it, with the wider sole. And it's only not exciting because you could get it through Wedgeworks anyway. So now this is like, hey, we're going to kind of take it out of Wedgeworks, if you will, and put it in stores, on shelves, available through.
And the retail pricing's a little less than
and so that's the upside, right? Like with this full scale full scale distribution, you now can get it in any finish, and you don't pay the Wedgeworks upcharge. So. Not again. It's a grind that's been out there, and I guess if you're going to get excited about it, it's that you may see it in a golf shop. You can get it in the finishes that you want, and it's cheaper. So
you may
kind of a win all the way around.
Yeah.
But
Oil Can, Tony, Oil Can Boyd, tell me about Oil Can.
And the second release, this one, I guess more exciting. So Vokey has off and on offered Oil Can finishes, limited edition, and so this is the SM10 version of Oil Can. Nick will put up some pictures. Oh my God, this is so good. I mean, it's not slate blue good, but it's really, really good. Looks
how close is it to
absolutely phenomenal. If you love copper wedges, I mean, the downside, the upside is you can get them in any loft and grind combination in the Vokey lineup. The downside, they are limited edition, so they're effectively $250 each, and I know people are going to be like, that's way too much for a wedge. Be that as it may or may not, they're going to sell out. So if you're going to grumble about the price and still get one, or not grumble at all, act quickly, because I think they go on sale March and they won't last. So
$250 each. There's a little bit of a nostalgia play. They do look super cool. They look awesome. You're on record many times over saying slate blue is the best finish.
It is. Yeah.
That's a 10 out of 10. What's Oil Can? Where's that on?
9.5. Like it's and especially like if you really love the copper, you'll push it past slate blue. I don't know what the hell's wrong with you, but as a hardcore slate blue guy, like it's pretty damn good.
Okay.
Especially if you love copper.
All right.
And a lot of guys do. We see that. Like I mentioned that in the article, right? It's just one of those trends that pops up over and over again. So golfers love it.
We got to talk about my boy Ricky Fowler a little bit, because we're going to get into some stuff that Cobra has out this week as well. Obviously, Ricky is maybe the most prominent, certainly longest tenured and most prominent Cobra staffer.
He's among like most, like anywhere, right? He's been Cobra from day one, has never departed. You kind of every year you wonder, like, is he going to re-up with Cobra? But
he just did re-up for another long-term contract. Terms weren't entirely disclosed, as they typically aren't. I wish they would change that. I love in other sports, so you can get really frustrated about how much these guys get paid to do different things. Like how we don't get frustrated with golfers for knowing what their contracts look like. But anyway, Ricky did re-up there. Interesting note, though, for the last several years, he had played a TaylorMade ball. If you remember the commercial, some people remember this one. He's at the range, and he's going to go grab the little mesh bag of balls, and the guy kind of hands one to him full of Titleist, because that's what he had been playing. And Ricky says something to the effect of, "Nope, not anymore," and picks up the TaylorMade bundle. He didn't re-up. He's back to Titleist. What happened?
He's the glove and ball deal are over. Yeah, and that was what I say. Like,
what's
you never knew
what happened here.
Well, you never knew if he was going to re-up with Cobra or make the full jump. Like, you kind of assumed at some point that TaylorMade would throw so much money at him that he would go over. So I going to Cobra, back to Cobra, kind of surprised me a little bit. Again, just figuring what I thought Taylor might be willing to do on a competitive basis. But as far as the golf ball goes, yeah, I mean, it makes sense that he would immediately go back to Titleist. And I'm not knocking the TaylorMade golf ball at all, but there are certain realities from the actual performance specifications of the golf ball. Like, I don't know how many people know this, but before he went to TaylorMade, Ricky was a left dot guy.
He was left dot.
Right? So not even the stock Pro V1. And, over time, we're going about, like, what was that, like 5 years ago? So last time you and I got invited to the Acro event.
So there you go.
Anyway,
at least 5.
So keep in mind, like since then, like the Pro V1 has steadily come down in flight and spin and become more left dot like. But certainly at that time, like that ball was low flight, low spin, and then he transitions into TP5 series, which is, whether you're talking TP5X that Ricky played, spinning a little less than a 5, but still more than a left dot would have, going to fly a lot higher than a left dot would have. And so you have like this ball that is unlike what he's played for a number of years, and what you saw, what Cobra was dealing with at the time, like every week trying to change it, like trying different shafts, trying to find something. Remember, he was in MMTs for a while, right? Like
he was changing everything about his equipment,
and it was all trying to kind of get the new ball to fly like the old ball. And so, yeah, in that respect, like, and it's, you know, he's had better years than others, but you know, he certainly hasn't looked like a top 10 player consistently for a while. And maybe the ball was a part of it, maybe not. I think we're going to find out. As I understand it, he's playing the stock Pro V1 now. We think the thought is he's probably going to stay there. But again, like Pro V1 has evolved quite a bit, and the new one more like left dot than maybe ever before. So yeah, that's where we're at. And again, I think it's all about the spec of the golf ball. And a lot of it, we talk about flight, right? You'd assume TaylorMade could very easily manipulate core and mantle inner layer construction to do some stuff with spin, but you know, that flight piece of it, that's primarily cover and dimple pattern. And again, those are hard to do if you don't have it. You know, it's not something you can go, we'll just create a dimple pattern, thoroughly test it, make sure it works, and there'll be nothing wrong with it, right? So I think, as I've learned and talked to people who do different things in the golf R&D world, I've come to believe that a viable dimple pattern is likely the most difficult thing there is to create. And that's why you know, we talk about foremost golf balls, right? Those same 2 dimple patterns on urethane have been around forever, as long as we've been talking about golf balls.
And they're hard to come up with. Yeah, like you said. I think it was a tough fit from the get-go. I mean, it made sense on one hand, and you don't know what you don't know. And I'm sure, you know, Ricky taking that saying, yes, I'll be able to find something. I mean, because that would make sense, right? I'll be able to find something with TaylorMade that, you know, I got 14 clubs. We got this. We'll be able to figure that out and get that dialed in. And ultimately wasn't, I don't think, ever 100% comfortable with that. So, it'd be like me going from, let's say, FootJoy to Jay Lindbergh. Or
imagine, like, very simply, right? If you're a guy who plays an 8.5 degree driver, and all of a sudden you're like, well, you got to play a 10 degree. That's what we got for you. You have to play a 10 degree. Yeah. And it's in some respects similar to that. It carries on throughout the whole bag. So it's an adjustment, and you know, it'd be interesting to see how much of a difference going back makes.
It'll be interesting to see, see how he does this year. Obviously, had a pretty good week this last week as well, and we'll kind of see as he goes from there. But that kind of leads into our last kind of topic here for this particular one in terms of new equipment. Sticking with Cobra, sticking with irons primarily. We got irons, wedges, and we got a hybrid in the King series. But I want to dig into this the irons in particular, the 3D printed irons. So what is it? What's going on here? And then I have some.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, on one hand, I'm a little torn on this, to be honest with you. So the headline is, right, Cobra's releasing King Tour 3D printed irons. Cool. Exciting. What's the price point off the top of my head? I want to say it's like 20. Is it 25 or 29?
They're not inexpensive.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, they're, other than a cosmetic change, they're the same irons that Cobra released as a limited edition early last year, which makes them the same irons that Cobra re-released later in the year without numbering the sets. So the first batch was individually numbered, second batch not numbered, and this is the same iron for a third time with a new cosmetic. So in that respect, I'm like, all right, cool, I guess. It's just from my end of things, right? It's not a particularly big story because we've told it twice. But big picture, like I think, when you, and again, I don't know how much you make out of statements from PGA players when they sign new contracts, but it was certainly written to suggest that part of why Max Honma, there we go.
Not Honma.
I did it. I made the Honma mistake. Max Honma. Max Honma went to Cobra was because of what they could offer via 3D printing, right? The way they can customize irons, the way they can customize wedges.
Kind of the one-of-one idea,
and presumably at some point start to get into the metalwood space. So that's certainly a piece of it, but fundamentally nothing new here other than the logo.
Let's finish up with this question today, Tony. So in terms of, we talk about moving forward, right? We talk about this year big trends are fitting. Big trends are, some new materials to a degree. How big of a deal, though, is 3D printing in terms of, like, this year versus next year versus moving forward? Like, my question is, like, and I'm kind of leading the witness here, I guess, but, like, can this become something that vaults Cobra from where it currently is, which is borderline in the top 5 brands? Arguably, you could say there's a big 4 and then everybody else. Historically, we've included Cobra in that big 5. I'm not sure they should be. Because you really look at Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, and Ping, and they really are the 4.
It's a different scale of big, for sure.
That is a different scale of big. My question is, 3D printing, if Cobra goes all in on that, which it seems like they have, can that get them from where they've been or currently are and vault them into a different space?
So for me, that's TBD. It's intriguing, but if you look at what they've done so far, right? So player's iron, so small, compact footprint. That's cool, right? But if you look at how it's been implemented so far, what they've done with that isn't significantly different than what you can get in admittedly larger footprints, right? So if you look at the internal structures, right? These lattice structures, they're weight savings, but are you saving any weight over what would otherwise just be a hollow body? Now, presumably you can make faces a little bit thinner with the support. You're putting big chunks of tungsten down there and really driving center of gravity low, but these are things that are being done already, albeit in, again, slightly to significantly larger footprints. So the selling point right now is you can do the things that are already being done, maybe a little bit better, but largely what's already being done. You can just do it in a smaller package. And don't get me wrong, that's very appealing. Yeah. I think a lot of us want that. But for me, it comes down to, I'm like, all right, what's next? What can you show me with a metalwood? Can you get to a viable metalwood? Because when we talk about limitations of driver performance, the USGA obviously is a big one, but ability to really move CG around, because right now everybody's moving it around for all the talk of, low, forward, high, back, wherever it goes.
Right.
It's like we're talking about that much movement. It's functionally the size of one of the mini SD cards, right? It's not a lot.
Right.
So if you can take, where is weight lost where you don't want it? It's in the face, right? You don't have a choice right now. You got to have a big ass heavy metal face, and it needs to be strong. It's got to survive impact. And even we talk about what TaylorMade did with carbon. It took a lot of weight out of the face, but they've gotten a little more efficient now. But even with all of that, all of the weight they've saved, they've given a lot back in structure. So if 3D printing allows you to save weight without having to go into doing a lot of things to create structure to support the thing that you just saved all the weight with, then maybe you've got something. Because if it's a real kind of massive net savings in weight, that's a different story than, hey, we saved weight because we 3D printed and then gave most of it back trying to build structures around that. So
yeah, I think it has to be. I think they got to do 3 things in order to get there. And I want to have Mike Yagley on later at some point to talk about this and see if it's viable.
Mike Yagley from Cobra.
Mike Yagley from Cobra. Yep.
VB of AI and Innovation, or some crazy title that definitely would not have existed
titles longer
5 years
than
ago.
most Callaway product names. Yeah, it has to do 3 things. Number 1, it has to do something that's clearly and obviously different and unique, so that they can make some kind of claim, hey, nobody else has this. And it can't just be 3D printing. It has to be, okay, this driver now is lighter than, something like that, right?
Yeah, you've got to give somebody something they can take into a hitting bay and see something that they've never seen before.
That's the other piece. It has to do it in a way that's meaningful and different to a golfer. Now, that could be, imagine this. It could be performance. Imagine this. Yes, so you're going to be able to do blank, and nobody else has this. It could be a one-of-one thing. Hey, imagine this. We could make you your exact driver based off your swing DNA in a way that nobody else can do. We can get you that one-of-one product that's perfect for you. Okay, great. Maybe it's, another element of performance, or maybe it's a price point thing. What if it became so efficient? I'm not saying so. But what if it became so efficient that Cobra came out and said, right now it's just the opposite because it's a new technology. It's more expensive to do. But we see technology progress that way all the time on other things, right? Where, okay, now it's way cheaper than it used to be. What if you could get a brand new flagship driver for $199, $249, a whole set of clubs for $1,000 versus other guys are at 2x, 3x, 4x that. To me, it has to be something that compelling,
and that's a tough one too, right? Because if you're making the same margin or more theoretically, right, but you're selling at that price point, it's that fine line between a good deal and being cheap, right? So,
yeah, and I'm not saying they're going to do that or that's but it has to be something on that level, because otherwise. Again, you talk the big 4 companies, they control roughly 90% of the market. Everybody else fights for that 10%, depending on the product category. And, that's basically what you're going to do is trade this 0.1% for that 0.1% because you're going against Mizuno and Tour Edge and Strixon and, whomever else, depending on the equipment space. So has to be something like that. Anyway, you got to get on a plane. I got to get on a plane. Leave it on a jet plane, headed down to Orlando. We'll have more info when we get back. People have questions, comments, all those things. Please let us know. Until next time, we out.